What's up, guys? It's Lord Both here for another video, and I'd say weekly, if not daily, I come across a story, an article, whatever, that just further proves that gaming development companies don't know what gamers want.
Because we're boring! We're so f***ing boring!
And no, this is not some lead-in to a video about gooning in video games. Although it is gooning adjacent, because what we're going to talk about is live service games. Why are we talking about live service games? Well, because, and this comes to us from Insider Gaming, Warner Bros. Games Montreal is working on a AAA live service title based on DC Comics.
I'm retarded?
This is quite literally the I'll f***ing do it again meme. Because the exact same people, Warner Bros. Games, that gave us the catastrophe that was Suicide Squad Killed the Justice League, has decided that after that game was a complete catastrophe and failure, we're gonna go right back to DC and their slate of characters. And we're gonna do live service DC right this time, guys.
Not a great plan.
Anyway, the article states, according to a new job listing, Warner Bros. Games Montreal, next game is a AAA live service title that is based on DC Comics. Warner Bros. Games Montreal is working on a AAA game based on DC Comics universe as revealed through an earlier job listing. However, the fact that it is a live service game is new information, and many players have some thoughts to share about this development.
I'm here to tell you right now, we don't care.
Let me tell you something.
We don't care.
Jerry.
The article goes on to state that many players have expressed dissatisfaction about Warner Bros. Games Montreal's upcoming AAA DC Comics game being a live service, considering how the last live service DC Comics game, Suicide Squad Killed the Justice League, performed. Mostly because it was, a perfect storm of everything terrible. Terrible writing, terrible characterization, story direction, art direction,
etc.,
gameplay. All of it was just bad. There is an argument out there that Suicide Squad was worse than Concord, and both of them were massive failures, like history-making failures in the gaming industry. In fact, every history-making failure in the last couple years, it seems to be a live service game. Whether it is Kill the Justice League, or Concord, or X-Defiant from Ubisoft, or Anthem, which is being shut down now, or any number of apparently numerous games by EA that were started up that were supposed to be live service games and then canceled. And also, let's throw Skull and Bones in there because despite the fact that Ubisoft refuses to take the L on it,
Nope.
and acknowledge the fact that it is one of the massive reasons why that company is in deep financial trouble. Forget Assassin's Creed Shadows. That's a drop in the debt bucket. Skull and Bones and Star Wars Outlaws are the real reason why Ubisoft has been in deep trouble for a good long while now. But even just considering that slate alone and not getting to other specific games, you can probably tell there have been way more failures in the live service market than there have been giant successes. And despite that, you still have absolute geniuses out there like Andrew Wilson, who looks like every evil corpo CEO in a video game you've ever seen ever, coming out for EA and saying, oh, Dragon Age Veilguard was a failure because it didn't have shared worldness. It didn't have the ability to go live service. That was the real problem with it, ignoring the fact that Dragon Age Veilguard was originally Dragon Age Dreadwolf, which was a lot closer to a traditional Dragon Age game, that was then scrapped for a terrible idea of a live service Dragon Age game, that then had that idea scrapped at the last minute and gone back to a traditional Dragon Age game, but with all the ugliness of a live service version of that game put on it. By the way, that is one of the big reasons why that game failed. At the end of the day, it was ugly. It was ugly from a story standpoint. It was ugly from a lore standpoint, what they did to all the characters of previous games. It was ugly from an agenda standpoint with all the gender identity stuff they put into the game. And yes, it was ugly from an artistic standpoint. That's the real reason why the game failed. It failed because it was bad.
And to make a long story short, too late.
From the art to the mechanics to the story to everything. Now, the reason why all these live service games are actually failing is because they are chasing an audience that is, if not in decline, definitely starting to stagnate. Live service games depend heavily on a social nature. Even if you don't have a gaggle of friends to go online with, it depends on you being at least social enough that you want to go online and play player versus player against somebody else, or at least have the ability to interact with other players. If you want to go the route of MMOs, but MMOs are also in steep decline, mostly because MMOs haven't been innovative since, 5-10 years. Plus, MMOs and live service games in general require a hefty amount of time invested in them. You have to invest a lot of time into these games to get good and to get good gear, to feel like you're progressing at all, especially in MMOs. You want the cool thing at the end of the battle pass? Well, you gotta keep coming in and you gotta play more often. Unfortunately, people aren't showing up for these games because we live in the most antisocial time in human history.
So then how many meetings do I have today?
93.
Okay.
Millennials are far more antisocial than Gen Xers, Gen Zers are far more antisocial than Millennials, and Gen A, well, at this point, we're lucky if they come out of their room. The point is that these games that are based around social experience, right? And playing the game together or against somebody else in massive lobbies or even small peer lobbies are just not as appealing to younger generations who tend to want to game on their own. This also plays heavy-handedly into why things like Elden Ring are so popular. Souls-like games are incredibly challenging and test players to better themselves and prove themselves, which that type of challenge the younger generation does want, but it does not force them to engage in a social setting. To put it plainly, kids want single-player games. They don't want massive live service farms where you're trying to grow cash plants out of the pockets of people and then harvest them with battle passes.
Hands up, cash out.
The gaming industry is not the only industry you can look at that's been affected by growing antisocial behavior. Alcohol consumption among younger adults is extremely low and declining. One of the big reasons for this is, yes, the medical problems that come along with consumption of alcohol and the awareness of that, just like there was with cigarettes in the 1980s. But also another big factor is that a lot, I'd say even the majority of alcohol that is consumed in this country, if not the world, is done in social settings, bars, which are also in decline. It's not that difficult to draw the dots here. There is a growing number of people, especially the young people, who just simply do not want to interact with other people, and as such, want to play games by themselves, single-player games. And yes, this is going to affect your ability to farm those people for money. But guess what? If you want to get those people's money, you're going to have to adapt and create good single-player games again.
And game development is very hard.
Not only is Elden Ring popular for this kind of reason, but also this is the reason why games like Expedition 33 are astoundingly popular. People, for the longest time, didn't think that turn-based games could actually be successful anymore, that they were out of date. So they refused to make them for a very long time. Now, Sandfall Studios makes a turn-based combat game with a really good story, really good music, really good art style. It presents gamers, especially young gamers, with something different from everything else. Seems like the people who made it actually cared about it and cared about their fan base, or at least potential fan base, seeing it's their first game. So people get it, especially at the very low price point it was at, and they end up making money hand over fist.
It's as simple as that.
And making smaller, cheaper games that are like this, you would think would be the trend of the future. not doubling down on a DC live service game.
You're not just wrong, you're stupid. Now wait.
Because this is the trend you have to follow. It's the direction the market is pointing in. No amount of gimmicks is going to save your live service gaming farms. X-Defiant saying that they're going to be a COD killer did not save them. Skull and Bones presenting itself as a pirate simulator as a live service game didn't save it, or at least isn't going to save it. Ubisoft again has still refused to accept that that game is dead.
Friend here is only mostly dead.
Even First Descendant is not being saved, no matter how much Gooner content that they put into that game. And First Descendant is a Gooner-based game. They literally just did a promotional thing where they had Bunny, basically the mascot of the game, come out and basically say her fat ass is what actually made this game popular to begin with.
Hey, it's me, Bunny. You remember me, right? My legs carried this game, you mother...
He's out of line, but he's right.
Like, everybody knows about this. It's interesting to me that people just don't seem to notice trends that are right in front of their face. And no, I don't think that this means that live service games are completely dead or going away. I just think it means that the industry is changing. What people want is changing. And it's clear to what they want and where that change is headed. But for some reason, these companies don't want to change, don't want to go to the new thing that's going to make them more money, and doing it now, they'll actually be a step ahead of the competition, and instead are resting on their laurels, doing what they think is easy, trying to establish cheap, hollow, live service gaming farms. Because that's the thing, authenticity is the most valuable currency of the future. And a game development company that creates games that are authentic in the way that they feel and have an authentic desire to give the customer the best experience possible and actually have something to say is going to beat out the hollow, cheap experience of whatever glitzy live service game any of these AAA gaming companies decide to put out. But those are just my thoughts on all this. If you have your own thoughts, go and leave them in the comments. If you like this video, go and like, share, and subscribe. If you didn't like this video, appreciate you watching all of it, and we'll talk to you again later.